What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your girl Survivor Speaks, and I am here with a quick live. Um, as you all know, hold on. Okay, so as you all know, there is a high-profile case um, that's going on, including a young singer by the name of David or D4vd. That's what he goes through by on all platforms. So we do know that there was a body of a 15-year-old um, girl found in the front of his in Tesla. So the investigation has been going very slow. And the owner of the $1 million mansion, or that David's manager was renting, it has a vested interest in finding out what or if anything happened at his house. He had no idea that David was staying there because David did not rent the home. His manager did. David is 20 years old. What's up for always? Thank you for hopping in. And I did go over that story yesterday. When you get a minute, check it out, that you had sent me. And I had said shout out to you for sending me the story, because I had no idea about Alondra Hobbs and the young lady that was, the baby that was in the stroller, the 7-year-old, just pushed in the closet and left her. Disgusting. But anyway, the video is here on YouTube. So the owner had no idea that David was living in the house. He thought that the manager was living in the house because he's the one that rented the house out. And David is a very disturbing character. It is just crazy. I've been down the rabbit hole, listening to all of his music, listening to all of his looking at his videos, looking at all of his interviews, and they are all very, very disturbing. Now, what is not questionable is that David had some type of relationship with Celeste. And there is evidence that dates back to when she was just 11 or 12 years old. And she started running away after she started talking to David. So David, some people have it misconstrued. Just because David had recently signed his deal with a big record label, make no mistakes that this boy was already making millions of dollars prior to that. He had endorsements and with companies prior to signing with the label, basically because of the way that he was discovered. So he had music written. He has music that he collaborated with Fortnite. He has a song he collaborated on Fortnite with 21 Savage. So this young man is, everybody keeps, but the people that don't want this case to be found out, with a lot of David's fans, oh, he doesn't have that much money. No. So he had millions before signing with the record deal for $3 million. And depending on how his career was going, he was going to get another $3 million on top of the $3 million that he signed for. And so his career actually took off once he was signed. He had endorsement deals with Crocs and Hollister, which they have cut ties with him altogether. He's trolling. I saw him, and you knew it was him. A week and a half ago, he was in a TikTok live trying to spread false narratives. He appears, he'll put something up and then he'll delete it. So he has put out a song about Celeste, which he has deleted. But once you put something up, it is there. And if you look at some of this guy's interviews, you will be able to tell that he thinks he's smarter than the average person. He's arrogant. His alter ego is a red rummer. The name of his alter ego it means pain in Japanese. And so he has this whole facade going on in his head how this character goes around unaliving people, but they hire him to solve these crimes. This is why nothing that I'm hearing about David is far-fetched. He's dark. He has a very dark spirit. So they hire him to solve these crimes, but they don't know that he is the unaliver. So he says, in essence, I'm solving my own crimes. He said this with a straight face. He was so serious about it because he threw it out there like it's a project that he had worked on. And he didn't think until, which song was that it was going to be a thing. It wasn't romantic. Homie. Y'all know that song, Romantic Homie. And even though a lot of his music was already released while Celeste was still alive, he fantasizes and romanticizes about unalivings. It is very sickening. He is very, very dark. And if you look at his interviews, he tells on himself. If you look at his videos, the message is clear in the video. And the eerie thing about his videos is all of the video vixens resemble Celeste. So David had another person that he started dealing with the name of Celeste, because she's 23. We all know Celeste Rivas was a child. And if anybody thinks that was done by a coincidence, think again. It was to throw the public off. So while David knew that they would possibly not find much evidence in that mansion as it relates to Celeste, because David is a thinker, that he thinks he knows he's smarter than everybody. There was another house that he was renting, an Airbnb on Doheny Drive in California, not too far from where the mansion was. Has the police, since the information, has the police gotten a warrant to go there and look to see what they can find in that place? Because they called it the streaming house, and Celeste 100% was in that house streaming with David. The house is back on the market for rent. I don't think that they're doing a good enough job when it comes to Celeste in these investigations, because the private eye was able to go behind them and find evidence, new evidence, and now he's uncovered some disturbing news about her family possibly being involved or knowing. Well, her family definitely 100% knew that she was dating David, but they said they never met David. And so I think, it is a sad thing that they lost their child, but you have to be held responsible at some point. You did, report that she was missing. She came back home. She left. They reported it again, but after that, they didn't report it anymore. And she has been seen in video footage at her parents' homes at a function after they put out the second, they filed the second missing report. And then after that, she was seen at a cousin's graduation. She was photographed. at one of her cousin's graduation. I don't know if her parents knew that she went to this graduation or not, and she just went back with David or not. But the thing for me is, and we really can't say what the police department is doing, right? Because they have not released any information. They're saying it's still under investigation. They don't know how this young lady passed away. I didn't know that you can find a body in somebody's trunk and not think that they're involved. They're making every excuse in the book about why it's somebody else and not David. That is his car. He is the common denominator in this equation. He was messing with the freaking minor. What are we missing as the public? And then they're saying, oh, she may have, passed of a overdose. So, in tampering with a body after the fact, or getting rid of a body, concealing a body, only 1 year, you could get 1 year's time and a $10,000 fine. How about we start at the PDF angle? How about it? You got Celeste on video with David streaming, where she says something about Epstein, and he tells her that's controversial, and she says graping like grapes, but y'all know what it is. Remove the G. Raping children is confidential. Oops! Oh my gosh! I think we need to delete this. And he's like, "Oh my God! I media trained you." This is not AI. This is not anything. And these videos were taken at that other house on Doheny, the house that they call the streamer house. Have you been there yet? They do know the identity of the person that drove his Tesla and the person that parked the Tesla. The police is not giving up anything. This private detective, he doesn't want to compromise the police's investigation. So everything that he's found, he's turned over to the police. But, the last time he was making his rounds, he said that if the police didn't identify who was the last person driving the car, that he was going to go ahead and reveal the person. Why are they not questioning, and we don't know, but question the tattoo artist that refused to do that tattoo on Celeste's finger because she said she was underage. And so David said, oh, you just missed out on some money, but he got somebody else to do it. Yeah, the 23-year-old Celeste. I hope you interview her. Yeah, they need to interview his best friend, lover, whatever, Neo, who has now scrubbed all of his social media sites. He erased David completely, and he was acting as his assistant. They were together on the day that Tesla was parked there, and it was never moved again. And after that Tesla was parked, the person got out of the Tesla, according to what the private eye told us, got out of the Tesla, and David's tour bus was there, and they got on the tour bus and left. And there's video of them on that tour bus when they was leaving the area after that Tesla was parked. Now, all of them didn't park the Tesla, but one of them parked the Tesla. But they were all there after the Tesla was parked. They were all on his bus. There is video of them eating on the bus the same day the Tesla was moved. We can't make this up. We cannot make this up. But anyway, we're gonna go. I'm not rolling the intro. I'm going to just get right into the video. Yeah. So I'm going to bring up a video from Law and Crimes, Jesse Weber. He actually sat down with the private investigator again, and he has more shocking details because the owner that owns that mansion wants to know what happened in his house, if anything. And everybody's like, oh, it's just he has a vested interest because it would possibly impact him being able to sell the property or rent it out. But that's not all that he said. He said that the police is not doing enough. They're not giving him any information. They're not telling him what they took out of the house because, like I said, David was renting. Maybe this guy has, things inside. He wants to know what was removed. He said, but more importantly, he wanted to know what happened to Celeste. Him and his family would like to know what happened to Celeste as well. They're invested just like we are, wanting to know what happened to this. She was 14 years old, and they found her in the front on her, a day after her 15th birthday. So to me, she'll be forever 14. And my whole thing is the PDF angle. Why has David not been questioned about that yet? I can assure you, David has not been questioned. Nobody knows where he is except his attorneys and possibly his parents. And let's not forget, he transferred 2 of his properties to his mother. That was 2 weeks ago. What is going on here? What is going on here? It's a lot, but it's sad. But we're going to get into this video. What's up, Queen Deja, Ali, for always, Lynn Ali, and anybody else that's, just not typing in the chat. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you for coming and joining. The means the world to me. If you all can please hit that like button, please, just in case you forget or if you have to run. It's a free way to support the channel. After the video is over, you can also hype the video. That's another free way to support the channel. If you'd like to donate to the channel, you can donate through Cash App or Chime. The moderators will be dropping those links down in the chat. I think they already did. I saw one, but it's totally up to you. But I appreciate the free way that you can support the show. And that is by, oh yeah, she has one here. That is by liking the video. All right, so let me bring this video over. Like this has me like my temperature is just boiling because I'm in disbelief about how we have not solved this crime. Like they're still, fiddling with this crime. So of course, this is Jesse Weber Sidebar. As I stated, I'm using this video on the Fair Use and Copyright Act Doctrine of 1976. I have put the description link to the video in the description. We're viewing the video for educational purposes. All right, so let's go, Jesse Weber. Let's go, Jesse.
Confusing case, one that we've covered a lot this year, the disappearance and death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez out in Los Angeles. This all started, as you may know, when a Tesla in Hollywood was towed, and officers then discovered human remains in the trunk. The body was later identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who had been reported missing months earlier from Lake Elsinore. Now, the Tesla was registered to 20-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, the Houston-born artist behind the hit Romantic Homicide. To be clear, no one has officially been named a suspect. There have been no arrests. David, again to be clear, has not officially been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime. But obviously, there are questions. There are questions about David's connection to Celeste. There are questions about what this relationship could have been. When did he see her last? Did he see her? And these questions have never gone away. Social media lit up with claims of a...
For always or Ali, can I get a trigger warning in the chat, please? Please, please, please. Okay.
Possible relationship between the two, right? Apparent matching tattoos, maybe private messages, a rumored unreleased song with her name in the title. TMZ had reported at one point in time that those around David believed that Celeste was 19 years old, and now we have this new development, this Six Flags trip, which we want to talk about. But real quick, that Hollywood Hills home, which was near where the Tesla was found, that quickly became a centerpiece of this investigation. LAPD executed a search warrant. They collected electronics, maybe even searched drains, maybe photographed different rooms, but not everything was taken. And that is where private investigator Steve Fisher had entered the picture. Now, Fisher was hired by the property's owner, the landlord, who said he was frustrated by what he called a lack of information from law enforcement about what role that property, his property, may have played in all of this. And again, to be clear, this was a property that was leased apparently to David's manager, and David had been staying there. And again, this property was near the Tesla. So what does he do? He brings in Steve Fisher to conduct his own review of what was left behind. And now Steve, who we've had on this program before, says he found something strange, something that could maybe reshape the timeline of this case. During his investigation, Steve Fisher says that he uncovered a Build-A-Bear certificate that was made out to a girl named Esmeralda, dated April 21st, 2024. So that is just 16 days after Celeste was reported missing. And that date stood out because on that same day, April 21st, David had apparently posted a TikTok video riding a roller coaster that appeared to have been filmed at Six Flags Magic Mountain. There is a Build-A-Bear located inside Six Flags. So you put those facts together, right? A Build-A-Bear certificate for a child, a TikTok filmed at Six Flags, a then 13-year-old girl, because she was 13 at the time, who had been reported missing. Six Flags, they require guests under 15 to be accompanied by a chaperone aged 21 or older. So the questions now become, who was that chaperone? Who was Celeste with that day? If that person was David, what does that mean? Does it mean that the story of what happened to Celeste is maybe even more disturbing than anyone realized? We don't know. But we're going to be speaking to Steve Fisher in a minute to get some clarity on all this. And also a lot of misinformation he says is out there and things that have been attributed to him that he says he didn't really say. So I want to get some clarity there. And we'll get into what the Six Flags development means and the timeline and any kind of other updates he may have. But to understand why this new Six Flags discovery matters so much, I just want to go back to where the case first broke wide open, okay? September 8th, 2025, a Tesla that had been sitting at a tow yard in Hollywood was inspected after workers noticed a foul smell. Inside the front trunk, officers found human remains that were apparently wrapped in plastic. That car was registered to David. The remains were identified as Celeste. Her body was apparently decomposed, and while the official cause of death is still deferred, police said they haven't...
I'm sorry, y'all. Just had to pause it right here because I wanted to look at her. That does not look like the Gap hoodie that she normally wears. That looks like a different hoodie. It doesn't have Gap on it. This is something else. Oh my goodness, y'all. But the Six Flags information, I didn't watch this. I'm learning this right with you guys about the new information. What? Why they protecting David? Why they are protecting David is the same reason why you have all this new news coming out about Drake. David is a valuable entity to them. David is money. Sad to say that some people value money over human life. You know, they already did a smear campaign and twist and tried to turn this and make Celeste the villain. No, she's the child. But because That's the same way, you see all this new stuff coming out about Drake, and a lot of it is old. His stuff was being swept under the rug. So David is just getting started. And David has made the record company millions of dollars already. And he is worth a lot more money, but I cannot see brands, even if he's not arrested for anything, I can't see these brands jumping to do an endorsement deal with him. I'm waiting for Nike to take cut ties with Drake. I'm just saying, it looks like it's going to be sooner than later. When it comes to this music industry, it's wicked. So those are just my thoughts.
It ruled out foul play. However, based on comments from law enforcement, it's possible there may not even be a crime other than concealing the body. But since then, the investigation has focused a lot on that Hollywood Hills home where David had been living. And that is where private investigator Steve Fisher has spent months retracing every step, what was taken, what wasn't, what those overlooked details might reveal, who may have been driving that Tesla. If you've been following our coverage, you'll remember that Steve had shared a lot during his investigation. He uncovered some deeply unsettling details. He explained that there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of Celeste, describing the evidence as scary, sadistic stuff. Steve says he's been able to track the Tesla's movements, understand who had access to the property, recover photos, videos that help place people at the home at certain times. He's also been in contact with neighbors, reviewed digital media, gathered information that was handed directly to LAPD. All right, so now I want to bring on a special guest. I want to welcome back on to Sidebar Steve Fisher. Now, Steve is the private investigator who was hired by the owner of that property, the landlord, where David had been staying in. And to be clear, it wasn't David on the lease, it was his manager, but we know that David had been staying there and that property was close to the Tesla. So, Steve, so good to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot's happened since the last time we talked. I mean, let's talk about this. You have uncovered something regarding this apparent Six Flags trip. I mentioned it a little bit before, that you found this Build-A-Bear certificate in the name of Esmeralda that was dated, I believe, April 21st. So this is just about, 16 days after Celeste was reported missing, that David had apparently posted a TikTok at a roller coaster on the same day. What is this? If I got anything wrong, please let me know. But what does this detail suggest to you?
No, so that's right. So, he posted that TikTok, and it can, match that up to where it's a roller coaster called Scream at Six Flags. And Six Flags has a Build-A-Bear, a shop there. And they have them at different theme parks. They have it Knott's and whatnot. And I know some people are confused about that. But he was at Six Flags that day, and at the house, which is, I think, the important part that some of the people are losing sight of, is that we found the certificate at David's house. And it's in the name of Esmeralda, and it's dated the same day, the 21st, that he was at Six Flags. And, and then just a few days later, Celeste is photographed at Esmeralda's high school graduation. And this is all during the time that Celeste is reported as a missing person.
So does that give you a time of when she may have been alive?
Well, yeah. So, this is going back, a year, but this is right after she went missing. So we've all been under the impression that she's been gone, over a year. But there's these times that we're now finding out, well, was she missing, or was she a missing person? So the family or whoever would get in trouble for her not being in school, or there would be a CPS report, investigation opened right away. It appears that they knew where she was at, and she showed up at graduation. She's showing up now at the Six Flags along with a cousin, and then she shows up in September arguing with neighbors at her own home. So, yeah. And the family has a responsibility to report that to law enforcement. If you have an open missing persons case on a minor, if you have any contact with them, you got to report that.
And was this information that has just recently been discovered by you? Is this something that you believe the family or law enforcement knew beforehand?
So really quick, her mother did say she has a boyfriend named David. And the only way this young girl could get to, she lives, her parents' home is 70 miles away from where David was staying, because he was staying in the Hollywood Hills. You know, that is a very rich area. A lot of the stars own homes there or rent, whatever. But they have seen him over there by her house, less than 3 miles away, in a parking lot, giving kids money. They're claiming that allegedly he were paying them off not to say anything. And I know online people had started putting in his lives that they couldn't wait till they catch him. He's a PDF. You're messing with little girls and all sorts of stuff. They said he started kicking people out of his Discord, and only accepting like younger females in his Discord. But my whole thing is, I understand they're focused on this mansion. There is a second house, and I'm hoping that they do not let that go over their heads, especially this private investigator. He's been doing a phenomenal job. So I'm not sure he has never mentioned it. But it is definitely, you know, the internet sleuths done went and they found it, where they were streaming at is definitely a different house, and all of everything that's in the background, because the house is now reposted as, being available to rent. It's an Airbnb. What they were streaming at that house. So the parents knew something. Whether or not David was giving them money, we don't know. The brother acts like no. This is rough.
I don't know if, so we discovered it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess, not long after the search warrant took place. But I don't know if they really had reason. I don't know what the scope of that search warrant even was. So I don't know if it's something that they would have been looking for, or even after, they know that we know about it. I don't know if it's of any value to their investigation. I don't know if they're even investigating, or if they even care if people knew that Celeste really wasn't a missing person. I just think it's important for the overall story, to be told that there were people that knew, and possibly people that could have intervened in this situation.
And to be clear, has this detail given you a better understanding of what the possible relationship is or was between David and Celeste? Does it give you a time frame of maybe when they had last spoke or last had contact, if that's at all what's going on?
Well, last spoke or contact, it doesn't really help with that. So far, the last that I have proof of is January 2nd. Now, that's what I have proof of. I don't know what LAPD has. I don't know what some of her friends might have text messages from her, but what I have is January 2nd. But I think what it does show is that there was a relationship. They were doing things, social things.
Look how she's looking at him. She's young. I don't know if she was 13 or 14 in this picture, depending on when they took it. She's young. She never was 15 and alive on this earth. If you're just coming in, please hit the like button. It's a free way to support the show. It doesn't tell me who likes the video. It just says that you added a like, just in case you have to run. Thank you. Or you can hit the thumbs down. Either way.
And she was out of school. She was on, she had dropped out. She was I think 7th grade. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is really serious stuff. And I think it's sad that it was allowed to continue. And that's, I don't know why it was allowed to continue, but it was. And I think people knew where she was at. And it also makes me think that as soon as the news came out that a body had been found in David's Tesla, I think that family probably knew exactly who it was right away.
Now, last time we spoke, you had mentioned that there were these items at this Hollywood Hills property that weren't seized in the search warrant. Since then, have you uncovered anything new that helps clarify the timeline, maybe what happened at the house? I mean, last time you were on with us, you talked about that you believe something sinister was being planned, the idea of maybe discarding her body. Is there anything else you can tell us about that?
I can't give details about what those items were so yet because I just don't want to step on, LAPD's investigation. As far as finding anything new, I spent the whole day at the house again yesterday. I don't know if there's going to be too much more there to gather. There are these small pieces, like the Build-A-Bear and stuff in photos from the graduation that we can put this timeline together. But that really just kind of proves this relationship, and it was a known relationship. As far as what happened and when, it appears to me that January, February is when there's something happens with the Tesla. It stops being used regularly. And so I think that's going to end up being the date. But I could be wrong. I don't have any proof of what happened to her, or her being placed in that Tesla or being taken out of that Tesla.
I was going to ask you, because in our last discussion...
Wait. Do you think that Esmeralda is the name of the person, or Esmeralda is what she named the bear? Let me look at that certificate one more time.
It appears to me that...
it says belongs to Esmeralda. Oh, okay. She named it Athena. But Esmeralda, he's saying that Esmeralda is a friend. Is that the friend that was in she went to the graduation with?
January, February is when there's something happens with the Tesla. It stops being used regularly. And so I think that's going to end up being the date. But I could be wrong. I don't have any proof of what happened to her, or her being placed in that Tesla or being taken out of that Tesla.
I was going to ask you, because in our last discussion, you talked about tracking the Tesla, who may have moved it. You believe that you have an indication about who may have moved it. Obviously, haven't identified the person, but have you been able to pinpoint any more details about the car? Any new insights about it, how it fits into the picture?
No, not on that car, but we have learned that there was another one of his close entourage, a person that was actually on tour with him, that actually there was another car that was reported being left right by the house for like 2 months, and then they had actually called to have that one towed as well. And then the day before it was going to be towed, when they came out for the third time, 2 men came and picked up the car, and we've since found out that is somebody that was owned by somebody that was out on tour with David, and they just left it in front of that, across the street. On the same street, just parked on the other side of the road, kind of blocking somebody's driveway for 2 months.
To be clear, the 2 people that moved that other car, was one of them the person that moved the Tesla?
No, so these are, I only know who one of them, I've only ID'd one of them. These are not people that are regular, and they were the owner of the cars, I think a family member and a friend or something like that, not people that were around, and not David's people or anything like that.
Now, you've also been tracking the medical examiner timeline, the LAPD's timelines actively, very closely. Have there been any developments there that you can give a better sense of when we might maybe even see an official determination about the cause of death, the manner of death, anything like that?
I think it could be in the next week to 10 days. And that's because, what I've been doing is tracking, her, she was discovered on the 8th, on September 8th. So I've been tracking the deaths for the months and weeks before that date, and the ones that were in deferred status. Those are usually the ones that are pending toxicology. And then I'm seeing that they're showing up as they're not deferred anymore, and they're showing, acute fentanyl intoxication or whatever. So that shows in other cases. Yes. So they've in other cases. So it shows that the toxicology has come back on those, and they're making determinations. And I've seen those as recent as September 3rd right now. So we could be, just days away from. Now, that doesn't mean the autopsy report is done in total, but it does mean that on the website we could see a determination of cause and manner of death, which will then should free up LAPD to do what they're going to do.
Do you have any idea of what that?
Right, but if they found fentanyl in her system, they have found the prescription bottle with David's name on it, and so it's still not something that you should say be so nonchalant about. They can't be nonchalant about it because she's still a minor. She still was a minor. And if he gave her fentanyl that caused her demise, he still can be charged. I don't understand. And that goes into a whole another list of charges. You giving a minor opioids, and there is a thing in America called the fentanyl epidemic. They're having like issues with fentanyl. So did he give her that and gave her a lethal dose to unalive her? Like what is going on here? This case is getting on my nerves.
It could be based on what you're seeing. I mean, again, going back to our previous conversation, you had mentioned that there seemed to be plans in that house of potentially discarding Celeste's body. Is there anything that you could tell us, anything you can glean, obviously without compromising the investigation, about what happened to her?
I can tell you that we did find opiate prescription medication bottles in the house. Now, they could, whoever those were, they could be taking them 100% legitimately. So just because you have pain medication, but there was a few bottles of it in the house, and my gut tells me, I have no inside information on this at all, but my gut tells me the way things are lining up right now, I'm feeling this is probably going to be something like an accidental overdose. And they just made a horrible decision after the fact because they didn't want the relationship to be, to get out there, because it would definitely hurt his, career, if not him be criminally charged. And I think they just made a really, really bad decision. I think that the medical examiner would have been able to tell pretty quickly if, it was strangulation or anything like that, because, you would still see the bone, the hybrid bone broken, or you see blood vessels broken in the eyes, stuff like that. Or if it was a gunshot, that's pretty obvious. So since they couldn't determine that, I think it's coming down to toxicology. So,
because one of the last times we talked, or something been part of the conversation, is that law enforcement, as far as we can see, they haven't come out and said that there is a crime that was committed other than disposing of the body, unless something's changed, unless something's seen different. That's all that they say right now. I mean, they say it's possible that it could be something else, but it's also possible that, like you said, she died under circumstances where no one may not necessarily be held criminally liable, might not be a murder, but someone may be charged for disposing of the body.
Yeah, I mean, I think they said there's like words where might not be criminal culpability beyond concealment of a body.
Right.
And, that could be the truth. I think LAPD right now has a preliminary indication from the medical examiner's office. I'm sure that the toxicology results are back. I think that determination is still being made of what the cause and manner is, but I think LAPD knows, and we haven't really seen any, nobody's been seen coming in and out of LAPD headquarters or anything being, maybe being questioned, or, we haven't seen any statements of maybe attorneys getting ahead of what might be coming. So I don't know. I think it's going to be minimal.
I want to talk about some of the posts that you've shared publicly about the case and get your thoughts on it, because you've been very candid on social media, highlight some of the aspects that the public hasn't seen yet. You made a post earlier today, got a lot of attention, and that thread pushes back hard against a lot of what you say is community-driven misinformation in this case, because in it, you say that Reddit threads that were useful early on have now become, quote, overrun by people misreading your work and claiming that you said that Celeste was never at that house. You make a distinction there that I want you to state clearly on the record, right? Because first, can you explain what you did say about whether Celeste lived at that house versus whether she was ever at the house at any point?
Yeah, so what I said is we don't have any proof, meaning I've been pretty open that we found a lot of media, a couple thousand images, right? And in those, with Celeste in them, they're not at the house. So we don't have anything tying her to the house. Do I think she's at the house? 100%. I'm certain she's been in the house. I just don't have any evidence to say, here's the proof. A lot of people are.
So what makes you say that? I guess what makes you say that she was at that house at some point?
Well, I said I'm certain she was at that house at some time just because of the relationship they had, but I don't have any proof that she was ever at the house. I don't have any pictures. Now, people are pointing to a different house on Doheny that was like a streaming house that her and David were. They did a stream from there, and there were several photos taken, and myself and LAPD and everybody's known about that house since the very beginning. And I think they're thinking that he kept that as like a safe house for her, and that I know is not the case. But we don't have anything to indicate she was living there. We do have indication that there was other females that were living in the house, maybe not full time, but regularly. I mean, they had nightstands with their stuff in it and whatnot, but it didn't belong to Celeste.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you made that distinction, and also because you also called out a lot of people on Reddit for jumping to conclusions, and that the public noise can affect an investigation like this. How has it? I mean, how is this, in your mind, the spread of what you see as misinformation impacted your work, your ability to understand what happened, collect evidence, maybe the LAPD's handling of the investigation?
I think at the beginning, if they were a huge help, I think there's a lot of stuff that LAPD would have never known about, especially in the Discord server, if it wasn't for Reddit. I think what my frustration is that, listen, every case I go to, I have this core group of people that just will take the exact opposite narrative of me. They're coming at me, and that just kind of muddies the water because they're very loud and they'll just say things that are just absolutely 100% false. They'll state them as fact, and that becomes distracting because there are a certain amount of people that first thing they read, they believe. I mean, there's this whole thing going on now about this Knott's Berry Farm, and nobody seems to understand the point is not whether they were at Knott's or Six Flags, even though they were at Six Flags. It's that the certificate ended up at David's house. So how did it end up at David's house if there wasn't a relationship that Esmeralda knew, that Emma was hanging out with them? So it becomes a little distracting there. But at the beginning, I got to say, it was really helpful because they have that entire server, and there's a ton of information in that Discord server,
Yeah, no, 100%. And by the way, talking about the house, so over the weekend, you tweeted about spending the afternoon at that house in Doheny. You described the anxiety, the fear that must live inside the people who may be responsible for what happened to Celeste. I mean, can you expand upon that a little bit more?
I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, I personally think there's 4 or 5 people that know what happened, or at least that she was in that Tesla. And I just say, I don't know how they live with them. So it's got to be eating them up from inside. I don't know. It just seems like if it was me, I'd want to just get it out there and explain my role in it and beg for forgiveness, because it's going to be too late. It's like if we're waiting for investigators to prove it first, and it's too late. And I don't understand how it's got to be eating them up. I don't know how they sleep. I don't know how this is a 14-year-old girl that ended up in a Tesla trunk for a long period of time. And, some of these people are out on tour and just going about their regular life. And I think that's something that's going to end up haunting them. And I just urge them to come forward, come clean. Like, this is not about beating charges. This is about doing the right thing for a 14-year-old girl.
And to be clear, when you say these are people that might have knowledge about what happened, but not necessarily physically were responsible for where Celeste was found, that's what you mean?
I personally, myself, right now, if you had asked me, I think this is probably like an overdose, an accidental thing that they did not have a hand in. Maybe they had drugs around that they shouldn't have been, but I don't think anybody at this point, I don't have anything that anybody killed Celeste, right? So that makes it even worse for me. But the fact is, she ended up in this. Instead of calling first responders, they put her in this Tesla. And I just, I wanted those people to think about, like, this is going to weigh on your mind for the rest of your life. Come forward, say what happened. This 14-year-old girl, she deserves that, and I just hope somebody will.
And one more thing I wanted to get a little bit more clarity on. You clarified recently regarding the items that were found in the house. You say there's been a misquote that is circulating online suggesting that you referred to the items that were found in this Hollywood Hills home as heavy tools or farm machinery. Can you clarify what you meant?
Yeah. So that I will say that publication did retract that statement. It was a recorded interview. So they have changed it, but of course it was already out there. But so what I said was, and what I've always said was, these were items that you would not find at a house. They would have serve no purpose at a house in the Hollywood Hills. It's items you would find more like in a farm environment. And that's exactly what I said. They're just not. It would have no use at a house in the Hollywood Hills.
If you don't want to identify what those items are, can at the very least you say, would it be items that someone could use to dismember a body?
To dismember and completely dispose of.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I mean, that's where the sadistic part came from. This was not about like maybe dismembering her or anything. This is about evaporating her.
Yes, look, Steve, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you clearing the record, setting straight what is available, what isn't available, what we may expect, what we might not expect. I really appreciate you coming on here, giving us our audience, the world, an opportunity to get a kind of an inside glimpse about what may be happening here. I think everybody's looking for answers, but really, most importantly, the loved ones of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, her family, her friends, they need answers more than anybody else. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So, yes, that sounds like they found some type of acid or something, because he doesn't want to say exactly what it is, but he's saying what he said was they found something that they could possibly dismember or dissolve. So normally, acid is something that, it probably was acid, is what he's saying. At the same time, I do not care. I do not care about her, it being an accident, due to possible fentanyl use. And I just still don't, I don't, nothing. First of all, she was a child. That's the first thing. First and foremost, she was a child. And so now you have another clue. From April 21st, they were at Six Flags. And the young lady Esmeralda is alive. So yeah, like they need to, talk to all of these people. And the reason why he said, and he didn't say it in this video, but the reason why he's saying he thinks there's 5 people that know, that is because they have video footage of them inside of the house, kind of like planning what to do with Celeste. And so he came out and said that before. Another reason why he keeps coming out and he's talking, well, he just found out this new news, but also people are spinning the narrative. I watched a video on TMZ, and TMZ said that he said all this stuff. He didn't say that. That's not what he said. He said one person drove that Tesla and parked it. He didn't say there was only one person in the house. According to what the landlord told him, he only provided the one key to the house. He never said nowhere that there was only one person at that house. Never said that. He said there was only one person that drove the Tesla and parked it, and he knows who the person is because they are on video that they have in their possession inside of the house. So these 5 people that he's talking about absolutely know that they were in this house, but what they did not know, I believe they did not know that they were being recorded. The owner of this home had a very sophisticated recording system in the house, but when he rented it, he told them that he doesn't monitor the video. He just, told them how to use it. They could have turned it off, but they didn't. So they do have video, and that was the first time Steve came out. They do have video of people in the house, and he said they were talking about a plan. There is audio too to the video. And so these people that, and I know a lot of times people say, step back, don't come get in front of it. But if you were just there, and this is something that, David gave her. It's going to be worse if they have to come to you. The Teslas are recorded as well. And what they have not spoken about a lot is that some man was walking down the street that lives in that area. Of course, he was probably going to that site because they're going to have a lot of people visiting the site. But he looked down and saw the Tesla key card sticking up out of some leaves. Well, I guess they tried to bury it. It was near a sewer drain. He picked it up and called the cops, and the cops came and got it. But nobody really talked about that. But the thing that David, regardless as to whether or not, they tossed that key, David, a Tesla, he can work his Tesla from the phone. He gets alerts on his phone when anybody opens the door of his Tesla, closes the door of the Tesla, all that. Video on your phone of what's going on in that Tesla. So David 100% absolutely knew when you think about those things. And if they have not confiscated his phone, and which they haven't, because at first his team put out a statement and lied and said that he was cooperating with the authorities. He never spoke to the authorities. So they definitely can get his phone records. Like he said, Discord is a treasure trove. You could go on TikTok and you'll see all the people that when David used to go live, they used to take like screenshots immediately of his Discord, what was going on in the Discord and things they would say to him. And that video where he's telling his mods to delete all of his vlogs and delete the stream as soon as they got off, because Celeste said it's controversial about graping kids. Oh my gosh. I think we need to delete this. So for her to be having that type of conversation with him, what were y'all talking about? But then when you look at the comments on the side of the video, you can see that I did a video about Dr. G. He does like body language analysis, and he had the video up, and so you were able to see the comments. People are saying, calling him Epstein. People are telling them, saying they can't wait for them to arrest him. And there was another young man who David was doing work with. He started to expose David, and he said that David's team reached out to him and told him he needed to take down, the allegations about David. This was way before Celeste was, gone. He needed to take down the allegations about David because, he's ruining David's career but he's like an insider that knows, and not an insider that met him in person, but they were working together. They were working on something together, a project. And so David just, I guess, got new or whatever. But him and David, he said they spoke and they had patched up whatever happened with them. But he didn't take it back. He said, I tried to bring awareness to this, that David was messing with this underage girl. And he said he had to take the stuff down because he said David's team reached out to him. So the manager, who doesn't want anything to do with this, and I don't talk to David, and I have a family and I live in somewhere else, you got a lot of explaining to do as well. So that is it. I just wanted to bring y'all that update they had with him yesterday. And that's shocking. That should definitely open up some things and give the investigators at the police department something to follow up on. So I'm going to get out of here, and you guys know that I end the show by bringing awareness that men get breast cancer. And if you're here, please hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. It's a free way to support the show. Thank you in advance. And so Men do get breast cancer, but because of the stigma surrounding the word breast, we have changed the word to peck and or chest cancer over here on the Survivor Speaks channel. So we're going to continue to bring awareness that men get breast cancer too. And to all of my ladies, please make sure that you're getting your mammograms, filling on your boobies to make sure that you are all right. All right. And don't you dare let anyone come into your house and disturb the peace that passes all understanding. I'm Survivor Speaks. I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. Thank you for watching. Peace. If you have made it to the end of the video, you are the real MVP. So don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.